Hello, dear viewers. It is once again time for the news here on Rwanda Television. My name is Sarishan Hore. We'll begin with the headlines. Rwanda and Korea have signed a $1 billion framework agreement aimed at funding various projects in agriculture, ICT, education, health, and infrastructural development. Campaigning has continued in Rwanda as the presidential and parliamentary elections draw ever closer. Now the details. Thank you for taking the time to join us. I'll be sitting in for Sam Kalisa. Now, as we just noted in the headlines, Rwanda and Korea signed on Friday a $1 billion framework arrangement aimed at funding various projects in agriculture, ICT, education, health, and infrastructural development. Prince Manzi has the details on that.
With the government of Rwanda represented by Yusuf Murangwa, the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, and the Republic of Korea, represented by Jong-Woo-jin, on Friday, the two countries signed a 4-year framework arrangement worth $1 billion. This new framework replaces the previously signed in 2022 with a $500 million allocation expected to end in 2026. The sign today will cover the years 2024 to 2028. The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Yusuf Murangwa, elaborates on the key sectors in which these funds will be allocated in.
It will benefit transport, the transport sector, especially roads. It will also support our health sector, especially allowing the government of Rwanda to be able to provide high-quality health services to our population. It will also support our education sector, supporting our human capital endeavors, which are very important for the future of our country, especially in lines of ICT, but also TVET education. And it's completely in line with our medium-term development program, which we'll be looking forward to in NST2. Very soon, in the next coming months, we'll be highlighting the next development program in Rwanda, NST2.
Jong-Woo-jin, the ambassador of the Republic of Korea to Rwanda, reiterates that this is part of Korea's commitment to partnering with Rwanda in the transformational journey.
And a month ago, Nepal President Kagame Paul made a visit to Korea and attended the first ever Korea-Africa summit. It was well received by the Korean people, including, in particular, the media people as well. And we need to capitalize on its successful visit to Korea. This visit is a key juncture in our bilateral relations, in our bilateral history. Korean government is committed to being a reliable partner when it comes to Rwanda's journey toward this remarkable transformation.
The Rwanda and Korea relations date back to 1963 and collaborate in various key developmental sectors like education, health, technology, among others.
Thank you, Prince Manzi, for that report. And now to political issues and the coming general elections. The Democratic Green Party of Rwanda has been campaigning in the districts of Gakenke and Rulindo in the northern province, where the party's presidential candidate Frank Habineza has told residents that his party is giving priority to the development of citizens everywhere, saying he wishes to see reforms in governance. The presidential candidate is campaigning alongside the Green Party's parliamentary candidates, and the message centers on promises made previously that the party says it did advocacy for and produced results, noting now that it is looking to help subsidize gas prices so that more people in rural areas can afford it. Promises were also made for more processing plants for agricultural produce in the area, helping to increase opportunities of employment in that regard. Now, the independent presidential candidate Philip Mpayimana has been campaigning in Karongi and Rutsiro districts, where he promised to boost the economy through increased employment if elected to the highest office in the country. He also promised to boost tourism in Rutsiro district, citing the area as one of the sources of the Nile River. In Karongi, however, his message centered on infrastructure development, saying he would see to it that roads were upgraded and water distribution is optimized in that area if made president. He also said that if elected as president of the republic, he would make sure that no student is sent home because their parents or guardians were late paying school fees, and change the name of the national football team from Amavubi to something he said is more fitting for Rwanda as an emerging sporting powerhouse. Now let us go to other matters. On Friday, the chief of defense staff of Sri Lanka's armed forces, General Saavedra Silva, along with his delegation, visited the Rwanda Defense Force headquarters and was received by General Mubarak, the RDF Chief of Defense Staff. He also extended a courtesy visit to the Minister of Defense, Honorable Mariza Munda. They held discussions on enhancing the existing bilateral defense cooperation between Sri Lanka's armed forces and the Rwanda Defense Force. While addressing the media, the Chief of Defense Staff of Sri Lanka said that the purpose of his visit was to exchange experience and expertise on capacity building of both the Rwanda Defense Force and the Sri Lanka Armed Forces, highlighting how the two countries could exchange instructors from Staff College and various other institutions.
Country wants to have a very good relationship with the African region, and as you know that your countries in 3 decades have developed so well, and in this country, Rwanda, we find that the armed forces have done a great service to the nation, and they have in one of their objectives also serving the people and for the development of Rwanda. So we were talking of basically the bilateral exchanges that we could do. Your country has experience, we being Sri Lankans who managed to defeat ruthless terrorism in our country, back in our country. We have so much of experience in that type of fighting. So already we have offered certain courses for armed forces in Sri Lanka to Rwandan armed forces even before this, and we want to expand that and have more exchanges between armed forces of Sri Lanka and Rwanda. We are offering some courses of Rwandan armed forces officers to come and do courses in Sri Lanka, which they are doing right now. We can expand that, and also we are trying to have exchange our instructors of Staff College and various other institutions where they also can come, some of your Rwandan officers to come there. So we would like to progress, have very close cooperation between armed forces of Sri Lanka and Rwanda. Diplomacy, we would like to take more. And your Chief of Defense Staff, General Mubarak, and I had a very cordial, friendly discussion as to how we both countries can move forward, having on our experiences benefited to both countries.
The Chief of Defense Staff of Sri Lanka's armed forces also paid his respects to the victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi at the Kigali Genocide Memorial, and also visited the Campaign Against Genocide Museum before participating in the celebrations of 30 years of liberation of Rwanda in the ceremony held at the Amahoro National Stadium. That was on Thursday. Now back to the general elections, this time the parliamentary elections, and the Social Democratic Party has assured Gakenke residents that it intends to boost the agricultural sector in the district during the mandate of the next 5 years. PSD is using its 60-point manifesto to highlight important issues the party says it intends to champion if given enough seats in parliament. The party has also continued to campaign for its presidential candidate of choice, the RPF's Paul Kagame, who it says is the right partner to help it achieve its objectives in the near future. PSD intends to campaign next in the districts of Karongi and Gasabo in the coming week. Now, during campaign activities in Rubavu, Ngororero and Nyabihu districts, the Liberal Party, that's PAR, promised residents to focus on economic development through agriculture. They pledged to enhance industrial infrastructure, enabling the value addition of agricultural products to improve the livelihoods of those involved in the sector. We have the details with Olive Nhete.
Before sharing their manifesto with the residents, the Liberal Party followers first entertained the public with various performances and songs praising the party's achievements. These activities took place at the Nengo football pitch in the Gisenyi sector of Rubavu district, the Western Province. During the event, residents expressed their concerns and expectations to the deputy candidates for the upcoming parliamentary elections. We would like their support in the agriculture sector by expanding industries capable of processing agricultural products. Additionally, fish farming remains underdeveloped, and we seek improvement in this area, including the establishment of more cooperatives engaged in fish farming activities. What I heard in their manifesto that convinces me to vote for them is their commitment to further develop agricultural activities. In our area, we cultivate Dalmatian pellitory plants. I support them because they pledge to enhance agricultural practices, provide us with better farming techniques, and offer manure. They also promise to assist in processing agricultural products, enabling us to improve our cultivation of Dalmatian pellitory plants and advance our overall development. Honorable Donatil Mukawarisa, the president of the Liberal Party, explained some of the reasons why they decided to endorse Paul Kagame, the flag bearer of RPF Inkotanyi, in the upcoming presidential elections in July. He led the liberation struggle with great intelligence and wisdom, stopping the genocide against the Tutsi, while the international community stood by without taking action. The country was completely destroyed, and he revived it, working together with us to rebuild it. He restored security, which is essential for any achievement. For the very first time in history, we have experienced 30 years of full peace and security. The party's manifesto includes a pillar focused on economic development across various sectors. Honorable Donatil Mukawarisa assures that one of key focus in these districts will be agricultural development, given the region's extensive agricultural activities, including tea and Dalmatian pellitory plants. We wish for agriculture and livestock farming to be done professionally and in a modern way. This will help us make our small cultivation areas more productive. Additionally, we want to ensure that this productivity is not wasted, but preserved and enhanced. Instead of sending our products abroad for manufacturing, which makes them more expensive, we aim to handle this process ourselves. We will strive to increase and enhance industries and process agriculture and livestock products, such as dairy products. This marks the 8th day of the Liberal Party campaign. So far, they have campaigned in Kigali City, as well as the eastern, southern and western provinces. Olive Nhete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive. Now, let us stay on that. The Ideal Democratic Party has also continued its campaigning activities, taking its message to Ruhango district, where it has told its supporters to vote for the RPF's Paul Kagame in the presidential elections and show confidence in its own candidates in the parliamentary elections. This is the first time ever that PDI is standing alone in the parliamentary elections, having previously joined coalitions during such elections. Now, Janvier Nsengiyumva, that is the independent parliamentary candidate, has been campaigning in Gasabo and Nyarugenge districts here in Kigali City, where residents have reminded him that if elected, he should follow through on his promises. The candidate has expressed his support for the RPF's Paul Kagame in the presidential race, saying he's the right person to help parliamentarians to implement important programs which he hopes will include him in the coming mandate. Now, women campaigning for seats in the parliament, that is in the special category reserved for them, have been campaigning in the Eastern Province, where they have appeared before the voting committee and have been commended for their manifestos. 46 women are campaigning in the East, vying for seats in the 30% portion allocated for them by Rwanda's constitution, that is in the parliament. Now let us move on to other matters. On Friday, the East African Development Bank financed a $36 million program to support over 500 small and medium enterprises here in Rwanda, in collaboration with the Development Bank of Rwanda, Duterimbere IMF PLC, and Let's Go Rwanda. Keisha Ineza has more.
On the 5th July, the East African Development Bank, in collaboration with Development Bank of Rwanda, Duterimbere, and Let's Go Rwanda, launched a program that will support small and medium enterprises in Rwanda through lending money directly to the businesses operating across industries such as agriculture, support, commerce, and manufacturing.
As I stand in for SMEs in Rwanda, and most of the SMEs in Rwanda so far, we are almost MFIs, about 20 MFIs in Rwanda, and we are going to use this fund, which was granted as a loan facility to Rwanda, and especially MFIs like us, where we have secured $36 million, almost equivalent to 49 billion Rwandese. If you look at the tremendous approach the East African Development Bank has used, we are going to empower women, we are going to empower youth through the loan facilities, whereby the interest rate will be relatively fair, and going to make sure that we increase our business and portfolio, and as well as our GDP in Rwanda.
The main purpose of this program is to support our small businesses, because as you know, in East Africa, including Rwanda, most of the private sector are small businesses, but they're very, very important. They are the businesses that actually employ people, and they provide food security, and they also support the economy through payment of taxes. So we thought that it would be very important to support this business sector, because usually it's difficult for them to get funding. So they're relying on their own family savings or their own resources. We see a lot of potential. That's why we're doing the program. As I mentioned, the growth for our micro and small enterprises is slow, and usually the big challenge is funding.
The Small and Medium Enterprises SMEs program is a program that is put in place to solve financial difficulties faced by small businesses. The small businesses in Rwanda play a big role in Rwanda through their contribution to gross domestic product, GDP, and supporting the economic growth of the country.
The impact that we see the program will have is, first of all, increasing the amount of money that's available to lend to SMEs here in Rwanda. Second, reducing the cost of financing because it's capital that has been mobilized at lower rates, which means that the rates that can be lent to the rate to the beneficiary will be much lower. And third, there's a technical assistance facility which will also enable the partner institutions to be able to improve their ability to assess risk and lend to SMEs, which means that
the East African Development Board funded $36 million to support over 500 small and medium enterprises within Rwanda. The program aims in supporting small businesses by funding and implementing knowledge management and fostering a culture of innovation, collaboration, and creativity. This funding will support development of small businesses by accelerating the ability of financial institutions to provide loans with lower interest rates. Inez Aketia, RwandaTV News.
That is all we have time for, and I thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I hope you had a great week. I hope you have an even greater weekend ahead of you. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.